Horror as an art form pokes around the idea of fear, often drawing out strong emotional and psychological responses from the viewer. It serves the purpose of entertainment value through fear and anxiety with a compelling story and substantial character sprinkled in the mix, just like every other film's genre. So judging based off the title, the thumbnail, and even the visuals of this video, we're going to talk about Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween is regarded as one of the greatest horror movies of all time, but for this video, I'm going over why this is. Why does this movie hold up so much in today's age, and what makes it so special, and what value does it bring to horror as a whole? Today, we're going to look at 3 important things to have this conversation. We're going to look at the why, as in what makes this movie the most influential slasher, the rise, and then the overall impact this movie had on the horror genre as a whole. So, let's get into my first point. When talking about the why, the first important thing to mention would be the revolution of the infamous horror movie tropes. And the final girl trope is probably the most overused horror trope in the subgenre, and it will carry on to each generation as time moves on. It's the concept of a young girl, for the most part, a teenage girl who is intelligent enough to ultimately survive these crazy situations. Laurie Strode from Halloween, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is the main example of this trope, along with Sidney Prescott from Scream and Nancy Thompson from A Nightmare on Elm Street. A mass killer and the POV shots are big ones that define slashers as well. Michael Myers is the example of an evil, faceless human stalking innocent people with a weapon, was widely an adopted trope as well. The idea behind this trope resembles a human with physical traits of a monster, and a monster doesn't have mental and social capabilities of a human, and it doesn't care about people or have sympathy for them, with it being very difficult to also physically damage or fight against them. And that's what makes Michael Myers terrifying. Michael in general is a scary monster-like human that is terrifying because you don't know what he's gonna do or when he's gonna do it, but you do know something bad will happen, and it'll be something terrible. The concept of this type of horror created many horror icons throughout the decades. But nonetheless, these tropes first originated through Halloween, giving horror an identity that it desperately needed. Most people, even those who don't even watch horror movies, use some of these things to define the horror genre. The movie was directed in 1978 by John Carpenter with a very small budget of $300,000, and it only took 20 days to film. The title of the movie was originally named The Babysitter Murderers until it was changed by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, while also having the idea of this film being a set event on Halloween night. And the original concept was it being a movie about a killer stalking babysitters, which is kind of a similar idea of the movie Halloween. Nonetheless, it went on to be one of the most successful independent films of all time on initial release, while also being the most successful Halloween movie of the franchise. Even years after its debut, Halloween was considered by many critics as one of the best films of 1978. Halloween was also nominated for the Saturn Award for Best Horror Film, but lost to The Wicker Man, and even decades later would be named the best slasher film of all time by Complex in 2017 and Paste in 2018, with Michael Myers being ranked the greatest slasher film of all time by LA Weekly in that same year. Due to its popularity, Halloween became a blueprint for success for many other horror films, which leads me to the final point of this entire video. Halloween is recognized as the most iconic franchise in the history of horror, and Michael Myers' character is a big part of that success. The masked silent killer Michael Myers, who embodies pure evil, helped define the subgenre while also paving the way for other slasher classics, giving an endless cycle of greatness to horror for a long time. And credit for this goes to John Carpenter. His style of film and directing included the infamous POV shots from Michael's perspective on being a relentless force that is willing to do anything to harm an innocent victim. And because this was a low budget film after all, Carpenter used high quality filmmaking technology that would trick the audience into feeling like it was high budget production. He wanted the audience to really take the film seriously and to not overlook it like people usually did with low budget films. It created a suspenseful atmosphere that was built through clever use of crazy lighting, shots, and even iconic music rather than solely relying on gore. This proved that the psychological approach was the most effective way to go at the time. And without even giving him a clear motive, it made him a lot more unpredictable, which adds suspense. The movie did a great job with the idea of evil hanging right outside your home where you thought it was safe. And in many of our experiences, this wasn't just a slasher, it was a lesson in tension building that had incredible pace and mood. And it definitely changed horror forever.